A few news stories that I thought were interesting. There's a long article here on Ars Technica explaining in great detail what's going on with AI, which is certainly very interesting. I mean, AI has been around for decades, but it never seemed to accomplish anything until recently, and they explain how this works. And there were several major advances they mention here. One is the ability to program GPUs, which made it possible to do enough processing. And another one is you need a really large data set to train it on. And this is how the AI art program came out, which is the big one that really got a lot of interest. To get the data set, what they did was they just scraped the internet for images that had an alt text. And the whole point of an alt text is to describe the image for blind people. And there were a lot of images with alt text. So they had a training, a large amount of samples to train their AI on, and a few other changes. So anyway, they explain it all, how AI finally made it to a system that will read in any kind of data, transform it into sort of summary, condensed form, so it can analyze it more easily, and then learn on a large data set quickly and get good at doing things. But AI is not as perfect as it looks at first sight. It doesn't really understand what it's doing. It's all just pattern matching. It is making something that looks like whatever it's been trained on without really understanding what it is. But anyway, it's going to be very useful, and a lot of people are going to see, many products are going to come out with AI assistants helping you. So the Egyptian police entrap people on dating apps to find out if they are gay, because it's illegal there, so the cops troll them and seduce people and trick them into going to meet people, and then they arrest them. So is a thing to be aware of. Certainly, I saw an article in America where a new app is coming out, a mood ring, which is supposed to be a health monitoring ring specifically for women, designed to measure several biological things of importance to women. And the Electronic Frontier Foundation said, whatever you do, don't use this, because it creates an internet trail of your body's performance, and this could get women in huge trouble now that America is outlawing abortion. They could notice if you appear to be pregnant and then you aren't pregnant, if you miss your period, and all these things could get you in big legal trouble now in America. So they say you should not use anything that records your health on a server that the police can inspect, which is probably correct. So the Millennium Tower has been an amazing problem in San Francisco for years. It's a luxury tower of condominiums. The old San Francisco ex-mayor Willie Brown, who is very famous, lives there. A lot of people do, and it's been tilting. It tilted about 2 inches a few years ago, and people noticed that their floor was not straight, and then it tilts more and more. Now it's tilted over like 30 inches at the top. And they have been finally laid a whole bunch of pile drives. They drove a bunch of piles down to bedrock, and they claim that the latest stabilization process is going to stop it from tilting anymore. So we will see. It has been slowly sinking and slowly tilting more and more, and all previous attempts to fix this have just made it tip over faster. So it's now the top is 28 inches away from vertical, and I think they say if it gets to like 40 inches away from vertical, it'll no longer be habitable because the elevators won't work because the shaft will be too tilted. No one's ever talked about at what point it would actually fall over. Apparently, it's considered that it's unthinkable that it would get that bad, but it could get bad enough that you can't have people in there anymore. So the U.S. government, mainly the FBI, has been changing their strategy. And this is a little bit light on details, but what they say is in the past, if they found a way to get into a criminal organization, they would stay silent about it for a while, trying to gather data to punish them in court. And the modern strategy is they're willing to reveal the information they find, even if it will decrease the chance of prosecuting them in court, in order to help the victims. So they hacked into Hive, a ransomware group, and they had access to their servers, and they used their servers to find the ransom keys, and the FBI would send those ransom keys to victims so they didn't have to pay. And they say that's the sort of thing they didn't used to do, but now they're doing it more. They've changed their priority from the usual law enforcement priority of building a case that will hold up in court to directly helping the victims. I imagine this is all an outcome of the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack, which was really important. I've heard for years and decades, I've heard of these serotonin uptake inhibitors, that people are taking SSRIs, a huge number of Americans. I sometimes hear people say 1/3 of Americans are on these antidepressants, and they don't work very well. They have some effect, but it's not very much. And the main theory has always been that the reason people are depressed is they don't have enough serotonin. So you take an SSRI and it increases the amount of serotonin in your brain, and that will make you less depressed. But now a researcher has gone through a huge literature review and found that people that are depressed do not have less serotonin. People who are given less serotonin do not become depressed. People who are given more serotonin do not stop becoming depressed. So this does not seem to be the mechanism at all. However, the current group of drugs that they're using do have some effect of lowering depression, but that is apparently not the mechanism. So this is, anyway, very important to see, and hopefully we'll do better trying to find better ways to treat depression. This happened to him before. There was a tuberculosis drug in the 1950s that they gave people, which in fact turned out not to do much good against tuberculosis, but it did elevate their mood. It made them happier, and that where they began to notice the mood effect of drugs. And so we're still in the infancy of finding a good medication to treat depression. So the Instagram founders sold to Facebook. And it looks good from here, honey. If you might try, oh, wait a minute, I'm seeing red and yellow. I think there was an internet problem there. I'm on the City College, it's probably the best thing. Okay. I saw my little dot turned red instead of green. Try refreshing. It should be good now, according to what I can see from here. Hey, let me know if you're seeing a good video stream there. And many people say it's lagging. Well, can you? I'll try the chat. Can you hear me? Couldn't hear for a minute. Okay, it's good now. Yeah, I think the internet got bad and then it got better again, according to this. All right, not much we can do about it, but let me know if bad things happen, so I can go back and repeat things. And if we could try using Zoom, but I don't think it's the app. I think it's the City College internet. Anyway, the founders of Instagram, they sold it to Facebook, and they're not happy with what happened to it, and now they have made a new thing called Artifact. This is an attempt to imitate TikTok for text. So instead of giving you videos and having you swipe right and left, and it's going to show you text articles, and it's going to rate how much you like them by how long you keep reading them, and therefore it will hopefully learn with artificial intelligence to show you better and better text articles. So people are saying this will be great, and one of the many products coming out to compete with Twitter. Since Elon Musk has destroyed Twitter, a whole lot of competing products are trying to jump into that space, and this is one of them. So KeePass is a open source password manager a lot of people use, and this is an interesting article from viewpoint of security analysis. Yeah, if you can shut the door, it'd be good. Yeah, I should learn to just keep the door shut. They always come in and yell in the hallway. Anyway, people claim that KeePass has a vulnerability because if you have write privileges on the machine that KeePass is installed on, you can add scripting commands to the configuration file, which will send your login password to a third party. And so they say, therefore, it's a vulnerability and KeePass should patch it. But it turns out KeePass is known for years, and they don't regard it as a vulnerability, because if you already have so much control of the machine that you can write files, they think the game is over. This is what Microsoft often says, too. If you have already root privileges on the machine, then it really is not reasonable to expect us to be able to save you from that point on. Certainly, from the tests I've done before, and we'll probably do more of them in the forensics class this semester, I tend to agree, because if you can read the RAM on a machine, you can find all the passwords there with any of these password managers. So anyway, but it is an interesting issue, and this is a common problem with vulnerability research. A researcher finds something, and then there is an argument, does that really matter? This is why you have to do threat modeling. You have to consider what attacks you're worried about and what attacks you're not worried about. And so I have registered, but I guess I'm not logged in on this machine. I'll skip that one. And this garbage isn't, what is this garbage too? All right, a bunch of my articles are not coming in on this machine for some stupid reason. Anyway, all right. Anyway, this one's interesting. Robert Reich is an intellectual leftist from UC Berkeley, an economist, and I was interested to read his analysis of this. The debt is huge, the 31 trillion debt, and it keeps growing, and so the Republicans are doing crazy things to lower the debt, or to say they're going to lower the debt, and then they actually raise it. But anyway, he points out The reason we have the debt is because we no longer tax the rich. We used to have enough money to run the government because we taxed the rich, like up to 90% for the ultra rich. And Ronald Reagan and Trump and other Republican presidents have cut the taxes on the rich to where we no longer tax the rich. And richest families now only pay 3% tax. Normal people pay 13%, and there's not enough money to run the government. And that's why we have this huge debt. So I think that is probably true. Although it is a very curious thing in America that the poor people are mostly Republican, and they love electing people that will cut the taxes on the rich and make the poor people pay for things. It is a curious arrangement here. The French do not understand why the Americans put up with this. But there's some kind of persistent myth in America. What's that?
There's a lobbyist.
Well,
There's such thing as political lobbying, so that's what happens.
well, the lobbyists affect what happens in Washington,
No,
but
the lobbyists, they take the money. Whoever paid them, the
well, sure, but how do they fool the people? It's interesting, and that's an interesting.
for getting a politician to do what they want.
Oh, sure, but red state Republicans vote for these people, believing that it's better for them to cut taxes on the rich. Apparently, so I think one thing I've heard many times said in America is that every American sympathizes with rich people. They think they're going to get rich tomorrow. They have this illusion of social mobility. They think that, which is very strange because social mobility is in fact very low here compared to other countries.
This is a way to keep the people.
What did you say?
One of the main arguments, based on what I've read, is that something that the conservative electorate in conservative states feel is that the most important thing is that people who are not, in their mind, deserving should not get help.
Yes, yes, that's
So,
yes.
It is more important for no one to get
Yes.
anything than for people who do not deserve help to get it. And liberal projects usually come with what they see are unfair benefits.
Yes, this is a very good point, and I've heard this, which is, I think, basically that they have used divide and conquer. They have caused the poor people to blame other poor people and focus on hurting them instead of focusing their anger on the angry people.
But this is very, and there's a term, I don't remember what it is, but this idea that
Yeah,
it is dangerous and sinful to help
yeah.
the wrong people.
Yes, that's right. There's a bunch of people that deserve to be punished and not helped.
No, they should have the opportunity to get better on their own.
Right, that's right. That's right. That's a very good point.
If you take all the money out of politics, all these problems go away.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true. If we took the money out of politics,
To the lobbyists.
yeah, and now,
Money go in, the lobbyists.
well, you're right. You're certainly right about that. The influence of money in politics has been greatly increased by the Supreme Court in the last couple of decades, and that's made it much worse. Anyway,
I can say democracy is not democracy. When there's money in there, it's not democracy.
well, yes, it's $1 one vote more than it's one man one vote. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a good point. All right, so I'm going to stop this.